All right, welcome to today's show. We have Mr. Gavin Tims, all the way from England. He's a real estate investor, invests in multiple markets, does a lot of coaching and a lot of good stuff. I'm excited to have him on to share some wisdom. What's going on today, Gavin? You're at your lake house today, it looks like.
I am, yes. Tony, I am. I'm in Michigan right now. We're traveling the RV. I live in Savannah, Georgia. So we're in Michigan. We're going to be here for probably about 3 weeks and then heading back to Savannah, then off to Arizona. So, yeah.
Good stuff, man. And it sounds like your business is pretty fairly automated. So we talked the other day, and it sounds like you're spending a little bit of time each day, or maybe even a little bit of time in the week, just laser focusing on doing work. But most of the time, you're spending time with your family at the lake house. So tell us a little bit about that and how you run your business and how you're able to take that time off with your family.
Yeah, I'm very much all about systems and processes and doing everything virtual. That's what I've done since I've been in the business. I've never relied on being on the field, pounding the streets, going house to house or anything like that. I'm all about doing everything virtual, so you're not tied down. Obviously, from the UK, it's big for me to be able to travel, get home if I need. So that's kind of how I've set the business up. So I've set the business up really to fit around me. That doesn't mean that I don't get in the trenches, right, and work just like everybody else, because you're only as good as your team. But when I do travel, it's quite amazing. And we had this conversation the other day when we spoke that when you have other things going on, your time spent on the business when you are traveling is quality time, right? Now, I'm the worst when I'm at home. I'll sit there for 10, 12 hours and I'm present, right? I'm there, but I'm not actually getting anywhere. Sometimes it feels
Right.
where when I want to say, right, I want to go in the lake, I want to go out on the boat and I've got stuff to do with the family. Well, I got a couple of hours. I need to get everything done. So I prioritize, I focus on one thing at a time. And I seem to get things, done a lot better and a lot more efficiently.
Yeah, it's Parkinson's all right. If you give yourself 80 hours a week to work, you're going to figure out how to work 80 hours. You give yourself 10 hours, you could probably get pretty close to the same amount done in 10 hours as you can in 80 by being more efficient and leveraging people
100%.
and things like that. I'm the same way. I fight my wife on taking vacations sometimes. She's like, let's go off to wherever for a week or two. And, we end up negotiating and, I get about 5 days, but I find when I'm off, it's like, man, I'll go into my emails, maybe an hour a day. Sometimes I don't even go into my emails, but I feel like I get almost as much done in that whole week that I'm away
100%.
than when I'm working. I don't work 60-hour weeks anymore, but even when I'm home, I work 40 hours. But yeah, it's interesting how that happens. So is that something that you learned from someone to do that? Or is that something you were just kind of wired from the beginning to make things automated to where it was just very, very efficient for you?
Yeah, great question. So when I came into the business in real estate and I kind of stumbled across it, this was not a passion by any means. I was a golf professional. That's what I used to do from England in the United States. It's not like I've been looking for this real estate of being an investor all my life. Absolutely not. I wanted an online business, right, that I could work from anywhere. And real estate investing opportunity came up through meeting somebody, and they were basically like, hey, you should check it out. And I'm like, sure. So I started to look at it, and I just went into the virtual wholesale training. And then from there, that was the model. And it was all about building, a lifestyle around you. It sounds kind of cheesy sometimes, when you say it. But I think it's important because there's more to life than money and deals, right? And all we're doing, a lot of people in the industry, is they're just creating other jobs, and that's it, right? Most successful people that I know can't afford to take time off because that's thousands of dollars lost. I believe that you're only as good as your team. And if you can get processes in place and be able to focus on that, then you can do deals kind of anywhere. So I just know everything from a virtual level. So when I started, it was all about how can I do it from anywhere? It was not shying away from not working. I was working 12-hour days, I'm not going to lie, to make this happen. But it was done from a phone and a laptop. It was done from the UK. It was done from Phoenix. It was done from California. So I was working just as hard as anybody, but it wasn't, I could do it from anywhere. And that was my goal. So when I started doing deals in Phoenix originally, I wouldn't go to any houses. I'm not your guy to go face to face. It's just not how I've designed the business. So even though I do work a lot still, it's on kind of my time, and I can kind of shuffle things around, and I don't do anything that relies on me being in one place.
Right. Now, I was talking to my mastermind group earlier today. We did a Zoom mastermind, and someone asked the question. They're like, if you could, and maybe I'll just ask it to you, if you could do 1,000 transactions a year, would you choose to do it? I'd like to know what your answer would be.
If I could do 1,000 transactions a year, the answer's no. Thinking about it, and I'm going to tell you why. Because what I was about to say was, if I don't have to be involved in it, then yes, I would. But I wouldn't probably like the overhead that comes with it, because I believe in a profitable business, not on having 50 people on staff with a massive marketing budget, and that's what it's going to take to do 1,000 deals a year. And I don't run the business or have the envision of having a big team. And I think to do 1,000 deals a year, you need a huge team and a huge marketing budget to achieve it. So the answer to it is no, that's not a vision of mine. Because I know what needs to, if you know, obviously it's easy for me to go, yeah, of course, if I don't have to do anything, and that's end of the conversation. I just wanted to elaborate a little more than just saying, yes. The answer is no, because of them reasons.
Yeah, that was my answer too. I said, you know what, my business, do I want to do more deals? Of course, but I don't want to spend that much more time on it. I work 3 to 5 hours a week for the most part in my real estate investing business, just keeping an eye on things. If I were to try and double my transactions, I'd probably have to work another 20 to 40 hours a week.
Yep.
And I just love that freedom of being able to work on other things than to just grow the business. So, it's one of those things where I feel like in the last 5 years that mindset has shifted quite a bit. It used to be the old school thinking of work hard, grind, be the first one in, the last one out, set an example, that kind of thing, to all of a sudden it's like just big shift of like work smarter, create a better lifestyle, work less. And I think that's the way to go. You only need so much money, but you can't get your time back. So I feel like anybody who's listening needs to gain that philosophy. But you're right. In the beginning, if you are starting your business, you do have to put the hours in. The most likely you're not going to hit the jackpot in the first month, 2 months, 3 months. It's going to take probably 6, 12 months, maybe even 24 to 36 months of pretty good work to get yourself to where you don't have to work near as much in your business and have more of a lifestyle business. So.
Yeah, but that comes down to, again, the marketing plan, the process, the vision of, yeah, everyone's got to work at the start, but you have to make sure that you're not working into a job. You're working saying, this is now me for part-time. This is kind of a part-time position to get it going. But at the earliest opportunity, I'm going to take this person on to cover this and this person on to cover that. And then you will start to delegate. And as you start giving your tasks away, you're going to start doing more deals, and you focusing on the key things to actually get deals done, and making sure that you're not trying to fit wear every hat in the business, which most people try and do. And that's why it's the roller coaster that we're in, or a lot of people are in, is they do a deal, then they start marketing again, and then it's 2 months before they get another one. And it's that stop start is because they don't have any systems.
It's interesting. I did a podcast this morning. Someone was talking about that exact same thing. And I asked them what their number one or one of the top things they would share that is their secret to success. And they said consistent marketing. Like, even if you've got too many deals in the pipeline, you got to continue your marketing, because, when you have deals come in, you can figure out what to do with them. You can either wholesale them, you can get them funded. Like, if the deal makes sense, you can figure out how to get that deal done. So that's good stuff. So how do you do deals in multiple markets? It's interesting because a lot of the guests I have on the show are remote investing, whether it's, one market and they're from that market and they end up moving somewhere else, or they just know that the deals are better in other markets. So they live where they live and they invest in other markets. So tell me about that evolution of how you got started and why you chose those markets, and how your, how your operation works now investing in multiple markets.
Yeah, good question. I believe that you can do deals in any market across the United States. All right. It is exactly the same process in each state that you go to. Some states are going to be harder to do business in, like a California, for instance. If I came into California, I know that I'm going to have to do more marketing, talk to more people, make more offers, and do more follow-up to do deals than I am in a Midwest market, for instance. Okay.
Right.
So I already know that, but the process is still the same. We still work the leads the same way. We're still making offers and doing all them things. Now, your Mayo formula is what we like to talk, speak to is it 70%, 80, 85? Well, that's just learning, what your buyers are paying on the ground. But in terms of a marketing aspect, nothing else really changes. You just need to understand that it's going to take you longer, but your size deals are going to be much bigger in a California market, in a Hawaii market or a New York or something like that, compared to the smaller markets. So, to answer your question, I normally go from, there's a couple of key things that I look for, especially when I started my first market, is I wanted to be in a rental market, meaning that I could have buy and hold investors, I could do fix and flip. I had multiple strategies. I don't see a California market as a buy and hold market, hence why everyone else is investing outside of the state that has money, because the numbers work better in other states. So if you go virtual, for me, you go to a buy and hold market to start with. That's what we did kind of. I was working, Phoenix, and then I went into Alabama. First, Birmingham, Alabama is probably my number one market. Why did I go there? Because of that theory. Also, I have an awesome partner on the ground there that's now a business partner, right? You're only as good as your team. So I'm very big on when you can't overanalyze these markets, because it depends on who you have and how you're structuring your business. You go where you have the talent. And if you have the talent in them areas, then it makes sense to me. So that's the same as I did in Georgia, the same in Florida, the same in Alabama, and then Maui. The only reason that I am in Maui, okay, is because I have an investor there that knew my wife's uncle. And when I was out there, we got talking, and he was bothering me about doing business there. And I said, no, I'm not doing it. It's too competitive. It's going to be too much money. And I'm going to be honest with you, his name was Dan. Dan, my job is to find discounted properties, okay? And I want to sell them to the highest person that I can get. And you want a great deal, and that's why it's not going to work. I'm not coming into Maui to make $10,000, $20,000. I need to be making 50, 100 plus thousand to warrant the work and what's going to go into smaller deals, right? Sorry, less deals, but bigger profits. And
so you're doing rehabs there, or you're doing wholesales, or both?
Correct. So what actually happened in that market was we decided that my team would source the deal and find it, and then he would do the rehab. Then we make a percentage on the back end. So something again that I don't really teach, but the opportunity, I'm very big. If the opportunity makes sense, then do it. Why not?
So you've got the system you've put in other markets. You just did the same system in his market. And
absolutely.
Yeah,
yes,
that's good. That's good.
Yeah. I'm not changing anything. I do exactly the same thing. And that's why I feel I could do it in any state, but I'm only as good as my team. So if my team's no good on the ground, I'm not going to do any deals, just like anybody else.
Right, for sure. So I know a guy that does 250 transactions a year. He's been on the podcast. And what he does is he markets nationwide, and then he finds the people on that market to do that deal, whether it's a real estate agent to wholesale it or an investor to wholesale it too. So I feel like his operation is much more expansive, but it's probably a little bit more work because he may have boots on the ground in some areas now because he's done, enough deals in some areas. But it sounds like you do at the other approach where you find the market and then you find the person to manage the deals in that market. Is that
Correct.
How you do your?
Absolutely. Yeah. And that was when we took on Birmingham. When we do some of the other markets, like we'll use the same team for Alabama, for Maui, right? But I have the guy on the ground. So I'm always making sure that my back end, in terms of how I'm going to move the deal, my exit strategy is already there, and it's very strong, because I can take my team and get deals anywhere through just following the process and the system. And I don't know, it might take a week, it might take 6 months, right? But That's not going to change. So that's how we work it. So yes, I make sure that I don't just go on into a market with absolutely no one there and then just start marketing to find a deal like this guy does, because I feel that, yes, you can do deals that way, but I feel you work too hard and also you won't get the amount of money for your deal because you're scrambling around trying to move it. And if any investor of a cash buyer senses your urgency, or you don't really know what's happening and you don't really know the market, then they're going to pounce on you and give you no money for your deal to get it.
So how do you find those people? How do you find the boots on the ground? Because that's a big thing. Like if you're trusting someone in one market with, because you have to spend probably a decent amount of money of marketing to get those deals in other markets. How do you vet that person? Where do you find them? Do you know them personally already? Like, tell us a little bit about that.
Yeah. Kind of all of the above, really. I mean, I renamed, obviously, my company as REI Network, right? Because I think it's all about network, right? I think the whole business is that. It's who you know, not what you know. So anything from conversations, really, from Facebook groups, from people that I know, like it could be you, like, hey, I'm really interested in a Kansas market, and you're like, oh yeah, I got a guy there, like, you should talk to him. I mean, any lead in like that, from having conversations to see where it takes me. And if I feel that a lot of it's gut instinct. Anyone can talk themselves into a position, but then they've got to deliver. So I do normally samples as well. It depends on what the source or where it's come from. I will do like a sample test, maybe like 2,000-3,000. I do a lot of cold calling, so I'll get some leads coming in. I won't go like gun ho and go crazy, just to make sure that the flow is being working, the leads are being worked and stuff like that. But I'm happy, and we're in 3 or 4 markets now, and I'm happy with that. I don't need any more. Again, I'm happy where we are, and we want to dominate. I feel confident in saying, and this isn't an arrogance way, but I feel like we dominate well in Birmingham, Alabama, as one of the lead, if not the lead wholesaler there, but we want to then build these other markets out to do the same. A lot of people that want to go into multiple markets, you can't do 5 deals in Dallas and then go to let's say Jacksonville, Florida, and then do 3 deals in Dallas to do 2 more in Jacksonville, and you still do 5. And that's a common thing. Like, if you're going to go into another market, it's to expand and do more deals. And we were in 5, probably 7 at once, and that was happening. The other markets was dropping to allow other markets to grow because the team wasn't big enough. So I was like, well, this doesn't make any sense. So we kind of dialed it back in.
So what kind of so obviously markets are different. So what do you feel like are some of the things that you can plug into markets that work in almost any market? Because obviously there are some markets that are what do you call it? Like, for instance, bandit signs in Wichita, Kansas. I haven't really gotten those to work very well, but there's so many other markets they've gotten to work. I do TV in my market. It does well. Other people have tried TV in a lot of other markets and haven't been able to do much with it. So are there some things that you do on all markets that are basically the same, that are plug and play?
Yeah. Just to answer that as well, I believe you have to create your own, if it works or not, right? By keeping it consistent and giving it enough time, number one. Like bandit signs, it's how long did you do them? How many weeks did you do? How much did you try to make sure it works? But for us, cold calling is number one. We cold call in all markets. That's our number one strategy. By pulling lists, skip tracing and cold calling. I'm into, proactive marketing, cold calling. I do a little bit of texting. Texting just seems to blow a lot of time, even though it probably is the cheapest cost per lead, but you've got to do so much quantity of it that I feel it wastes time. So we do a bit of it. But number one is cold calling. And then we normally back it off that if we can't get hold of them, we'll drop into a text and then drop into direct mail. But if we start with 4,000 people, we might have then 800 left to do direct mail to after we've gone through everything. So we're very big on making sure we stay profitable.
Right. So tell me about your KPIs. Again, on that mastermind I was on earlier today, we were talking about KPIs and what people track. What are the most important KPIs that you track, especially since you're in multiple markets and probably need to keep your eye, on the numbers in those different markets?
Yeah, I mean, it could always be better. I'm not going to sit here and say that we have it nailed on, because we don't. And I'm very big as well on, it's how quickly can you get a return on your current investment that month. Okay. So for instance, especially with cold calling, 9% of the deals, if not more, come from follow-up. Okay. So it's how many leads can we produce in a month? And then what is that pile of leads going to produce over months down the line? Because that's where the profit is. The profit's in the follow-up. So we're very big on, we never try and close a lead from a cold call first time. It's all about positioning that in follow-up and where should it get positioned accordingly. So down the line, we'll get that lead. And that's kind of on average, I know for Alabama, we probably close 3 to 4 months on average each deal. So sometimes.
So you're saying from the time that you contact them to the time you,
absolutely.
Oh wow, it's 3 to 4 months, really?
Yes, absolutely.
Yeah.
On average. Now sometimes, and I'm throwing an average probably to bring that average in from a year and something out to, probably a week, sometimes. Right.
Mm-hmm.
But yeah, it's follow up. I mean, it really is. And it isn't rocket science. You just got to be prepared to shadow leads, and people listening to this, that your direct mail and your PPCers are probably going, what, that is insane. Like we do, so many, but you have to look at their cost per lead, right? And it's how much profit are they making versus how much profit are we making, where I can turn a budget of, $60,000 over X amount of months into 400,000, right? So my cost per lead, for probably Alabama could be anywhere between 500 and 700 a deal, right? So they're very good, but it's only because I like to say it's like, squeezing the orange.
Well, you said cost per deal, you mean cost per cost per acquisition, not cost per lead.
Correct. Cost per deal closed.
Okay, that's amazing, because most people are around $3,000 to $5,000 on a cost per deal. So
yeah, no, we'll be anywhere. I mean, we fluctuate, but probably about 700 in Alabama, and then it will change. For instance. And I'm very big as well. I work things a little different to a lot of people, right? Imagine the funnel of the hopper with leads. A lot of people teach the more leads that you have, the more deals that you do. And I 100% agree with that statement, if your back end and your system is built out correctly, right? Because what happens is, if I stand here and say 90% of my deals or 95% of my deals come from follow-up, and all I do is keep blasting leads in every single day, then we won't do many deals, right? Because if we're focusing on new lead gen, we're not focusing on the back end, even though I know the money is in the back end, right? So we're all about controlling the lead flow on the front and making sure that the follow-up is happening to keep us profitable.
Yeah, that's good, because I've been in the business 20 years now, and I'm just starting cold calling. We just hired a cold caller not too long ago. We're getting ready to download some lists and do some cold calling for the first time. So that's good to know that most of it is in the follow-up. That's something that I'm going to have to make sure I dial down on them to continue to follow up those leads, because it's you had to hit them at the right time, right? So like you hit them now, they might be thinking about it, but then you follow up with them, they continue to get that in their head, and then all of a sudden down the road, they end up selling. So do you do any kind of other follow-up besides, so they say, let's say someone says, yeah, I'm thinking about selling. Do you start a direct mail campaign to them? Do you try and send them to different, like, is there anything else you do to keep them on the top of on the top of their mind?
No, we have touching points depending on how it is, but normally it's a phone call, a text, and an email. And we pick up on how they have responded in the past. So if this person's a talker, if this one's a texter, then we'll have that and kind of go at it. But normally, if we set it up for acquisition, then they call. So if I'm calling Tony, he doesn't answer, we'll text you, and then we'll email you, right? And then we'll we'll put you up, back on follow-up, for instance. And what we're doing is we have a lot of notes sometimes, and it's amazing when you see the transition in the sellers from how they were to how it goes through the process, then into close. And pretty much the best way I can explain in a simple way is if I bring you in from a cold call and you're interested in selling or interested in offer, right? And it comes in with notes and then acquisition gets on to you and have a conversation. I don't actually care what's going on right now. I want to know I care what's going on right now, but I'm taking that and then I want to know what changes down the line. So has your situation changed when we next talk to you? We're looking for key little slight movements. So you could say, no, I want 500,000 and that's it. I ain't taking anything less. I don't care. That's my offer, done. You're quite abrupt. You're quite to the point. You're not having none of it. All right. We follow back up. Are you still that same way? Or are you now saying, well, I thought I could get 500. I still think I can, and I still want to sell it. But you've now gone from that assertive to this is how it is to now you're softening. So something is changing. Right. And we need to get to behind what's going on to see if we can figure that out. And that's kind of what we do. So we kind of shadow it and with multiple touches. And it's just like anything. We try and get it to where if there's a deal to be done, Tony wants to do a deal with us, right? Because we've been following up. No one else has. And that's kind of how we eliminate the competition in the right way.
Yeah, but 90 to 95% of people don't follow up. It's a one done deal. 100%. And with the competition the way it is, if they talk to 3 or 4 people and there's only one person following up, it's pretty obvious who they're probably going to do business with. Absolutely. Even if, because it may not be quite as much now, but it seems like people want to do deals with people they like more and they feel like they trust. So if you're following up with them, giving them care, taking them through the whole process and being with them the whole time, then they're more likely to deal with you, even if you're willing to give them a little bit less than the person, down the road.
Yeah. And it's just being efficient with it as well. It's amazing when you get it down is that you can come into a conversation with follow-up and be on a few minutes, be very effective and get back off. You don't need to spend an hour with them or 30 minutes and getting nowhere, right? We teach that when you come in is that you make it about the seller, you make it about their time, you're checking back in, you find out if anything has changed. It's like, hey, Tony, I'm sure you're super busy. Look, I just wanted to reach back out. We're here if you need anything. If anything changes, let us know. And now we're backpedaling to get off the call. And they're like, oh, no, thank you so much for checking in. I really appreciate it. And now we've done a job. Now get off and go on to the next. And you can be in and out. You don't need to sit there for 45 minutes. And it's all about how to get off is about respecting their time. And, hey, I'm sure you're super busy. And, I just wanted to check back in. And getting off the phone. So it's not like you're rushing them. You're doing it because you're thinking of them. Makes sense?
Yeah, for sure. So share with us, you've been in the business, is it 8 years now? And you're in multiple markets. Like, I say this all the time. People struggle doing their first deal. People struggle in one market. You're in multiple markets doing multiple deals in different markets and have really scaled up and been efficient with what you're doing. What is something, or maybe even a couple things that you want to share that you would say got you from where you are now or from where you were to where you are now much faster and much more efficiently?
Well, when I start, you don't know what you don't know when you start. So I do a bunch of things differently from when I got started. And I think everyone, everyone has that attitude. But if I was trying to do a deal right now, I would say to get a process that works, like whoever you're following, whoever your mentor is, if you have one, whoever course you have or books you've read, and just trust in that process and stick with it until it happens. Because I'm very big on, sometimes you have to, in your mind, you have to find, like, if someone else is doing it, like you do deals, where, or whoever, like if someone else is doing deals there, then I can do deals, right? There's no excuse. There's nothing about it doesn't work. That's a load of nonsense. So what I would suggest is that they need to focus on make sure that they are tracking their numbers from a KPI or a scorecard standpoint, right? We're very big on this. And I believe, for most of my clients is that I want them to speak to 5 sellers a day and make 3 offers a day, 5 days a week. And that's all anyone should focus on, trying to do deals. And if you do that and you look at numbers then of 25 sellers a week, 100 sellers a month making 60 offers, and that's 200 in 2 months, and you've made 120 offers, you're telling me that one of them is not going to say yes? I don't believe you, right? And then with the follow-up on them, you're going to get deals done. So I guess to break that down to again, is to talk to sellers, make offers on follow-up, and just keep rinsing and repeating that. And I don't care if you don't have any money, then find someone that's doing a lot of marketing that's not doing follow-up and join them. Ask them to work deals, partner with them. That's how I got started, right? I went and started partnering with other wholesalers, working their dead leads. Mm-hmm. So I grandfathered in, right? Maybe luckily, and someone gave me 60 dead leads, dead from a direct mail campaign from 3 months ago. And I called every single one and we got 2 deals from it, just because they were 3 months old and the situations had changed. So I got to learn that and think, okay, I understand that now. And I think that's what people need to do, is make sure that your time that you're spending on the business is actually on activities that's going to make you money. Because if you're not doing them 3 things, you will not make any money. And you might be busy with your CRM and your websites and your logos and your all them things, and it's not making you no money. It might sound good and you think you need them, but you don't. So that's what I would do. Go make the money and then pay someone to do it.
Cool. Good stuff, man. Success leaves clues. So if you want to be successful, find someone who's been successful. I think, what is it? Copy and paste. I think that one of my mentors used to tell me, find someone who's doing what you want to do, take what they're doing, copy and paste it. There's nothing wrong with that. It may not work 100% for you because your market or your, style might be different, but chances are if they've had success with it, you could probably take what they have done, learn from it, and plug it into your business. So 100%. Good stuff, man. Well, this time flew by, man. So anything else that you want to share before we jump off?
I got a lot. I just say to anyone listening, and we've all been there and we still get there, right? I think as people doing deals and sitting on podcasts, I think people sometimes listen and say, oh, it's easy for them. And we all have problems still, team members leaving or not doing the job, and, marketing campaigns not working. And I think we're all in the same thing. I just think we have got it where we can analyze things a little faster. So again, people trying to get that first deal or expand, just stay focused, focus on one thing and don't get overwhelmed. And I think overwhelm is a choice, right? I think you choose to get overwhelmed because you focus on too many things. I do the same thing. I get overwhelmed. I mean, we talk about info and all these and podcasts and YouTube, and I'm bringing everything on myself, but I'm aware of that. And I think new people aren't aware. So it's break down your courses or your YouTube videos or whatever it is that you're following and execute one step at a time. So you're not getting overwhelmed and you're constantly moving forward.
Not to mention leverage. I mean, real estate's all about leverage. I mean, there's not very many businesses where you could buy something and it's worth tens of thousands of dollars, potentially more than what you bought it for, and that you can get in with no money down potentially, and XYZ, and it goes into your operations as well. You got to leverage yourself with other people that are really good at doing the things that you're not good at and doing the things that you don't love to do. Because I'm sure there's things that you love to do in your business that you would hopefully concentrate on more. Whereas there are things that just drain you and bring your energy down that you want to get rid of. Just like you talked about the 12-hour days. The 12-hour days, 10 to 12-hour days that are non-productive at the end of the day are probably the ones that you took on a lot of stuff that you probably shouldn't have, that someone else could have done better, or that just could have done it, period, because it's something that's not the best use of your time. So I think people need to really leverage themselves in this business and make sure that they're doing what they're good at and still having fun in the process, right?
Yeah, enjoy what you do, and it goes back to you're only as good as your team.
Yep. Well, good stuff, man. Well, good stuff. Awesome. Well, I appreciate it. Have fun on your little vacation there. Appreciate you jumping on while you're out there at the lake house.
No problem.
If there's anything else we can do, man, let me know, and we'll catch up again soon.
Awesome. All right, bud. Thank you.
All right. Thanks, Gavin. We'll see you, man.
Bye.